of heightened concern at the moment.
I will ask you the same question that Anne-Marie asked of His Royal Highness last week. The cuts that Saudi executed, the pause that OPEC has effected, was this a gesture at any level, a gesture of goodwill to the Biden administration to make it easier, to help squeeze the market higher, to help make it easier for Biden to bring Iran back in?
You know very well that we are not a political organization, and in all the parameters and the metrics that help us to evaluate market conditions, politics is not one of them. I can assure you that the discussions that we had here, both in December and early this month, were all focused on the fundamentals of the oil market during and post-COVID-19. It's unprecedented. We had never experienced what we saw during 2020, and we remain focused with all participating countries, led by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Russian Federation, to ensure that while we are emerging out of this unprecedented year 2020, we help the market to recover in 2021.
Excellency, you intimated there, you gave me an insight into the level of risk of perhaps not having control on a market last year. How much risk could shale be to OPEC and OPEC Plus losing control again this year? These prices are rising, shale could come back in. How big a risk is shale to the control?
I think there's no doubt at all that all producers of hydrocarbons have suffered the same fate as a result of the impact of COVID-19 in 2020 and continuing now. Mm-hmm. We have been in consultations, active consultations with the US through the independents. And you recall we had established this line of communication with them way back in 2017 after the signing of the Declaration of Cooperation. And we continue to meet with them regularly, including in 2020. We had seen contraction in terms of non-OPEC supply of about 2.5 million barrels a day in 2020 as a result of impact of COVID-19. And so the US companies were not insulated from this hemorrhage that we saw. And we had always believed that we have a shared responsibility to maintaining stability in the market. And there is an understanding, even with the US independents, that no one group of producers would continuously maintain stability for this huge market. Don't forget, once upon a time, the world was consuming nearly 100 million barrels of oil every single day. Therefore, it's impossible for any one group of countries to continuously maintain stability for this huge market. And we have reached that understanding long ago with the US independents.
It sounds like Shell were more frightened than you were.
Well, I can tell you in our discussions that we have had with them, they were very much concerned about the fate of the industry generally and the position of the industry in the energy transition. While they
Just talk a little bit about that. What are you most worried about post-COVID? Are you worried about investment, the capacity to invest and the capacity of banks to lend to your industry?
Even prior to COVID, we were put on the defensive in terms of the prospects of hydrocarbons in the energy transition going forward. Mm-hmm. But in our World Oil Outlook 2020, we have explained to the world that oil and gas will continue to dominate the global energy basket. But the huge challenge is what you just mentioned. Investments is the lifeblood of this industry. It is a very capital-intensive industry, and we have already been put, as I said, on the defensive by the lending institutions, the credit agencies, on access to capital to invest in this industry to meet not only current demand, but also future demand.
So let's just circle back as we look at 2021. I will visit you, and Sean will be there. Everybody who's on this call probably looks forward to getting back to chasing you, Secretary General, and every other OPEC minister around the streets of Vienna. So stay safe in the meantime. But I want to get a sense from you of cohesion. We've written a lot about it. We've talked a lot about it. The splits, the wrangles, the arguments. But it's becoming more clear that there is a difference in trajectory between what Russia wants and perhaps what Saudi wants. They perhaps see the market in different ways. Is there a splitting in the OPEC plus relationship? It's traveling in two different directions.
When you put together 23 or 22 sovereign countries in one room to agree on a consensus decision, it is not unusual once in a while to find some bickerings, sometimes some differences. But in the last 4 years, we had just celebrated, if you like, virtually the 4th anniversary of this declaration of cooperation, bringing all these countries together in 2016. And we had continued to take these decisions with them, to implement these decisions together, to even monitor the implementation of these decisions. So I think we have established solid relationships that is at the core of multilateralism. And we remain more confident now that having survived 2020, we will continue in this relationship going forward.
You'll hold us all to account, Secretary General, and corral us all as usual. My thanks to you, Secretary General Mohammed Barkindo of OPEC. We wish you well in 2021. Good luck in the next 11 meetings, Secretary General. I'll hand you back to the Gulf Intelligence team. My thanks to Gulf Intelligence for including Bloomberg in the Forum 2021. Your Excellency, Mohammed Barkindo, good day, sir.
Thank you very much, Manus. Happy New Year once again.